Hey, welcome to I Have Thoughts with Maigen Thomas. I just made this up, so bear with me. There are lots of senior designers who are complaining about how bootcamp students have a really similar looking portfolio. And junior designers, or people who are coming out of boot camps, are struggling to stand out in the market and struggling to find out what is going to get them an interview. And I'm looking over at my Slack because there was a comment in particular I thought was interesting, and the reason I have thoughts. It was about the Case Study Factory article. I've shared it before, but I will link it in the comments of this video. It was the Case Study Factory is a very long form article with a ton of very useful information. So please feel free to check it out. But it goes into detail about how all of these bootcamp case studies look the same. And the junior designer who posted about this asked, why do portfolios keep being used for evaluating candidates if they aren't enough anymore? Why do they keep being used for evaluating candidates? It's because they are incredibly useful to see how you have approached a problem in the past and how you describe how you solve that problem. They're not enough anymore, which is why you see senior designers and mid-level designers using portfolios to get jobs. What this is going to sound like is a little bit of gatekeeping. It's not gatekeeping. It's going to be some real brutal honesty. And if this is being viewed by someone who's never met me, I'm not known for my brutal honesty. I tend into the a little too nice for being helpful. Like, I want you to feel amazing. I want you to know that some of this is really good and you should be proud of the work that you did. There's some refinements that need to be made. So this feedback that is going to sound brutally honest is coming from a perspective of love. I want you to get better, but no one is telling you some very critical stuff. And I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. So this is the whole I have thoughts. So the problem with formulaic case studies is that they are marking you as three things in the eyes of hiring managers. And you're not getting good results because of these three things, because they're so critical. That formulaic case study is putting three qualities on you in the eyes of the hiring manager. It's saying that you're unimaginative, saying that you're lacking in critical thinking skills, and it tells them that you're only willing to do the bare minimum. That sounded crappy. Okay, let's explain. Let's get into this. When I'm talking about these three things in general, so unimaginative, lacking in critical thinking skills, and only willing to do the bare minimum, it makes you a candidate that's not going to beat out the other 400 bootcamp students, junior designers, early career designers who are trying to get a job. You're not a first-round draft pick. You're not a desirable hire, and you're barely a production designer. Super harsh. So unimaginative, I say, because as a bootcamp student, you likely, and I come from the perspective of someone who teaches a UX UI bootcamp, we hand designers a template. The template is a blueprint, like for making a house. The house doesn't look exactly like what's on the blueprint. The blueprint is the structure. So is a template. Think of it as scaffolding. It's the structure, it's the skeleton. Most of these bootcamp students, junior designers, they make marginal changes to it to make it a little bit unique. And then they think, I'm just going to put this out there in the world to represent me. And then they're surprised that $100,000 jobs aren't calling them for interviews. Imaginative people see a potential canvas for their unique expression of self in everything. They doodle in the margins, they draw on walls, they draw on their jeans. They can't stand to be exactly the same as anyone else. They say yes and they love to bounce ideas around. A blank page doesn't stop them. Challenging the status quo doesn't scare them. They are change agents, sometimes of chaos, and the impact that they can have on projects can be so incredibly outsized compared to their actual level of authority. So imaginative people are valuable to businesses because they see potential and possibility. Hiring an imaginative person gives a positive return on investment to the company that hires them. Unimaginative people, they use the template and they're like, that's enough, right? It's not enough. It's not. The entire point of the case study is the story of what you did. How do you tell that story? Lacking in critical thinking skills. Ugh, this is a tough one because this feels like it hits at like the heart of who people are. But let's be real, we don't teach critical thinking skills in school. We don't teach it as an adult. We certainly don't teach it in a boot camp. Nobody has time for that. So that's tough. How do you know you lack critical thinking skills if you lack critical thinking skills? First, it's obvious. Ask questions. Ask questions. If you don't ask questions about the template that you've been handed in your boot camp, you're lacking in critical thinking skills. Full stop. You didn't ask, or excuse me, people did not ask, does this template help me tell the story of what I did? Should I force my story to fit into this template? What if it doesn't fit? What can I remove from the template? What can I add? What are my boundaries? Do I even have to use this template at all? Can I just use this as a general guidance and then just change everything about how it looks and flows? Yes. Another question, if I use this, will my portfolio look the same as all of the students in my cohort? What if all of us apply for the same job? How will I stand out? What makes me better or more notable than anyone else applying? Take it a step further. How many other students have completed this bootcamp? It's a business for a reason. They're making money. You're all going through the same structure. So how many people came before me? How many people used the same portfolio case study template too? How many hundreds of case studies look exactly like this one? Should I use this template? The junior designer who thinks all these thoughts as a critical thinker is never going to answer that last question with, oh yeah, and then proceed to make very few changes to the template. That's not using critical thinking skills. If your portfolio and case study look obviously like a boot camp or online course case study, then it's obvious the person is not driven by natural curiosity or a desire for individuality. They didn't ask questions about how I should use this to tell my story, to make me stand out. Finally, these formulaic case studies give a very distinct impression that the person who is designing is only going to do the bare minimum if they're hired. Think about this. You paid however many dollars to go to the boot camp. It was expensive. They're not cheap. And you took the template and made very few changes, and you expect that to be considered amazing and an A+ product, and I deserve a bonus. That's telling me you're only going to do the bare minimum if I hire you. You're going to phone it in. You're going to slack off. It's like they don't even seem to care or understand how they can improve, because if they had tried even a little bit, their portfolio would look different. A designer's portfolio is the single most important design artifact you will ever have. It represents your knowledge and skill. It is the only design token that returns actual dollars in cash value. It pays a long-term, monthly or bi-weekly dividend in the form of paychecks. If the designer who's creating this portfolio case study does not care enough to represent themselves effectively, they're not going to be trusted to represent a company or a product effectively. They won't be given a chance. They don't get the callback for an interview. Portfolio case studies are essential to understanding how people think and how they present the information that they have. They give the hiring manager a chance to see how you present the story of what you did. Be a little more imaginative. Consider what you could change about the template. Ask critical thinking questions. Show me you do more than the bare minimum, and you will get a shot. So yeah, they're not useful for hiring. It's that most of these junior designers coming out don't care to take it to the next level. That's why you're not getting a callback. That's me being super honest. I hate it so much. This has been I Have Thoughts with Maigen Thomas.